but it feels very smooth. Hey, I just got back from a gig, and look what I found. It's this Guyker less Trem style Tremolo systems, and we're gonna install it on this Epiphone Sheraton over here, and I'm excited. Let's see what happens. I don't know if I should be concerned. It's in a Ziploc bag. I don't know what that means. Is it used? I bought it as if it were brand new. I don't know. This was unopened, but at least it has a little holiday stuff on it. All right, so if you are like me and don't want to spend money on a shop, you can take a blanket, fold it in half, and then roll up one end, and you can lay your guitar on there. All right, let's start a timer, and let's see how long this install takes. All right, so check out this nice leather strap with the buckle on it from HS Rustics. I'll put a link in the description. Really love these handmade straps made locally here in Atlanta. All right, so first thing we'll do, loosen strings. All right, so what I'm doing here is conditioning the fretboard anytime you take the strings all the way off. On a rosewood fretboard, use a little Ernie Ball Wonder Wipe here, fretboard conditioner. Just cleans off some grime. This guitar is 30 years old, so it has a little bit of buildup on there that can dry out in the wintertime. If you want to, you get a humidifier, a dehumidifier with a humidity gauge on it. You can leave that in your guitar room, and mine will tell me what the humidity is at, and I just leave it on, but set at like 55%, so the dehumidifier doesn't run, and I can run my humidifiers in the wintertime. And what that's going to do is allow me to not get as much fret sprout. So if your neck dries out, fretboard dries out, then the wood can shrink and the ends can poke out. So if you keep it around 40% humidity, I got a couple of humidifiers in the room, then it can save you some of that trouble. Probably putting a little too much on here, but I've never done it on this guitar. Only had it a few months. So put a little on there. All right, let's see if we can get these screws out. This will be our first test. We'll, try not to put a nice big gash in there. All right, will it fit? Let's see. All right, take out these screws. Wipe off some of that. You don't want to get the fretboard conditioner on your finish. It can not get along if you do that, but it's really only for the unfinished necks. Now I'm curious as to this one. This is at an angle a little bit, so is that gonna bind? Is it gonna knock it out of tune? This looks pretty solid, even though it's in our Ziploc bag here. All right, let's see. Now, this apparently the secret sauce to it staying in tune. It supposedly comes locked, and there was no instructions in there. So yeah, it comes locked, but if you make it floating, then so like loosen this maybe. I don't know. There's no instructions. We'll try it out. If you make it floating, where it can move up and down, and it's not locked to only go down, but it can move up and down. It's floating. Then apparently that helps it stay in tune a little better, at least according to the internet and some Amazon reviews. So let's test that out and see. So it's more of a yellowy color than, more of a brass color than gold. You see it doesn't quite match, but you know, what do I care? The gold's already kind of rubbed off a lot of places on the hardware anyway. So I just really like a nice tremolo. Okay, let's see. Is that gonna fit? It's a little bit wonky, but it looks like it's gonna fit. I'm gonna get cross-threaded here. Okay, so far so good. Now the spacing was a little bit off, but it seems like it's gonna work there pretty smooth. All right, let's get this fretboard conditioner cleaned up here. You can really see how it's not very gold. It's very yellowy, more of a brass color than a gold color. Another thing, if you're going from a guitar with a stop bar tailpiece and a tremolo system, it can be really helpful if you lubricate the points of contact here. So they make product for that, or you can just use graphite pencil lead. So I'm just taking pencil, adding a little bit on the saddle and inside the nut, and that way when you add more tension to the strings or loosen it, you loosen the tension on the strings and it comes back into position, the string can actually move. And when you get out of, what makes it go out of tune is usually not the tremolo system itself. It's usually the string, you moved it here and it gets stuck in that moved spot and then doesn't go back to the way it was before. And so that's usually what makes it go out of tune. So it's usually not a fault with this. It's usually a fault with it binding somewhere, either on the saddle or at the nut. So I'm gonna go each one of the string slots and put some pencil lead there. And you can also, you know, depending on how much it's binding, it may not be a lubrication problem. You may need to get some nut files and actually smooth it out. There may be a rough spot on the nut itself, and so you might want to check that if you're getting problems with it going out of tune very easily. All right, you'll notice that this moves. Zoom in a little bit. You see that this particular ridge moves like on a Jazzmaster. That's by design. I think that's going to help you if you're just going for subtle. If you're going for dive bombs, you probably want a different kind of system. This is good for like just a subtle vibrato. But yeah, this moves, and that's good. It's going to make it come back in tune easier. There's less movement of the actual string on the saddle. The whole saddle's moving. I am curious, because this isn't at an angle, is it going to work? But we'll see. All right, we're at 20 minutes here. Most of that was just changing strings, applying the graphite. Actually putting this on didn't take very long at all. So it's overall a pretty easy install. Yeah, the gold doesn't match very well. That's not gonna bother me. It's gonna bother you. Yeah, you might wanna get something else, but anyway, from a distance, I don't think it's gonna matter. but I'm not going for the look. I'm going for the sound, and I really like that effect. So let's get it tuned up and see how it works. Okay, just got it tuned up. And if you've never tuned up something like this, once you get one string in tune and then you move on to the next, it's gonna throw it out of tune because, you know, you're changing the tension. So just get them all close and then keep doing it, and eventually they will stay in tune. Now mine seems to be floating. So stock, I don't know. Somebody on Amazon said they don't come that way. Now, notice there's not much room, but it feels very, very smooth. You can adjust the angle of this. It doesn't come with a tool, or at least it didn't in my plastic bag here. But let's see if we can adjust this. Yeah, very easy to adjust. Looks like a 2.5 millimeter hex key, Allen wrench, whatever. Some people talked about how long it is. Oh, I mean, that's exactly the subtle warble I'm looking for. Now, if you want a dive bomb, go pretty low, but really, this is for the subtle kind of effect. All right, first impressions. I think this is worth $60. Now, if in the right light, seems to match maybe, but yeah, it's a lot more yellow than my worn out gold on this. Maybe that's just my gold, but it doesn't bother me. I really like the effect. So first impressions, good. Let's play around with it for a few days and I'll come back and let you know what I think. But so far, $60 well spent. Thanks, Guyker.